السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا ومن سيئات اعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له واشهد ان لا اله الا الله واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله في الكتاب الكريم بعد اعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون ويا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. We gather together on this blessed day of Jumma in an attempt to worship and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way to His pleasing. So we gather together in this blessed day, in this blessed place, to come together as a community and remember our Lord, the one who has created us. SubhanAllah, when we typically try to remember our deen and try to work toward understanding Islam, sometimes because of the work, because of the busy lifestyles we have, we don't go deep enough. Sometimes we take a superficial understanding and don't have the time to delve a little bit deeper. So inshallah today, I want to delve a little bit deeper and to understand a little bit more about this deen of Islam. An idea that we take away is the increasingly importance that this idea of identity has for us. This idea of us being Muslims. And what does that mean? We do identity games and we ask people to figure out their identity. We play the game of the hyphen. We talk about what you are and you list everything that comes to your identity. I'm a teenager hyphen, I'm a student hyphen, I'm an engineer hyphen, all of these things. But for us to think about, when we're thinking about our hyphens, do we ever include Muslim in this list? And if we do include it, where does this word of Muslim fall on the list? Toward the beginning or toward the end? Or for us as Muslimin, must have a strong identification with this identity of Islam. This idea of us being Muslims. And we take first and foremost a reminder from the Quran and to kind of move ourselves toward this idea. We look first at the importance of knowledge, because you can't have an identity if you don't know what your identity is. If I tell you all, hey, I'm a basketball player, but I don't know the rules of basketball, I don't know what the three-point line is, I don't know who the Lakers are, then I'm not really a basketball player. So for us to have this identity, we must be able to know a little bit about our deen. And this is where we come to this idea of Islam and knowledge, and how these two things are paired together and what importance they have. We know this, something that is oftentimes taught even to the youth in Sunday school, the very, very young people, that the very first ayats, the very first verses that were revealed in Islam, in the Holy Quran, were that of knowledge. Read in the name of your Lord that has created. And we see this inherent point that the first thing that came from the angel Jibreel to the Prophet Muhammad, the first words of the Quran that were revealed were not aqamu as-salat, were not atu zakat, they were not established the prayer, they were not paid the zakat, but they were to read. Well, this is where we can derive our identity from, and we can derive our knowledge from. And we see increasingly how important knowledge is. We see in a beautiful hadith that is related to us in Sahih Bukhari, book 55, hadith number 543. In this hadith, we see a discussion of the creation in a very early period, and how important this knowledge was here. We see Adam al-Islam, who was created after Allah subhanahu created Adam, after Allah subhanahu created Adam al-Islam. He told Adam al-Islam, over there are some angels. Go to the angels and give them readings, and learn from them your own readings. So Adam al-Islam got up and he walked over to the angels and said, Assalamu alaikum. And they replied back to that, as the hadith says, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. And this is where we get our greeting from, the greeting that we use very, very often. But for us to understand something, why was it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Adam al-Islam to go over there and ask the angels? Was it not within the qadr, was it not within the qadr, the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pre-program and pre-download this knowledge in Adam al-Islam's mind? It was. But we take from this hadith the message of seeking ilm. That even here we have an example with Adam and Islam, where Allah subhanahu is establishing with Adam and Islam the sunnah of going and seeking knowledge. Even though that it was within the power of Allah subhanahu to give it to Adam, it is a message for us that if we need such knowledge, we have to be able to go and seek it. And also that we see the importance of knowledge. That it is those that seek this knowledge, it is as if all of creation welcomes them and all of creation beckons them. We see another hadith that's mentioned in the collection of Al-Tirmidhi, hadith number 1387, where it says that those that seek knowledge, those that are the ones that are seekers of knowledge, the ones that are students of knowledge, it is as if the fish in the ocean and the ant in its hole makes dua for their forgiveness. So we see those that go down this path of seeking ilm, of seeking knowledge, they set themselves in a way where all of creation will work to facilitate their seeking of this knowledge. And this is why this is something incredibly important, because when we think about this path, usually we think it's very, very difficult. But for us to realize that when we are going down this path of seeking knowledge, who do we have in our corner? Who do we have as our allies? As the Prophet ﷺ says, it is as if all of creation will be helping us doing this. So for us to take that in mind as we go down these paths or our own intellectual development. But once we're able to get this basic knowledge of Islam, and we're able to understand what it means to be a Muslim, so we have the basic things down. Now the question comes, are we able to identify ourselves as Muslims? When we are standing in society, when we're standing even amongst non-Muslims, do we count ourselves as Muslims? Is our Islamic identity something that comes to our mind? And something that we want to talk about is that this crisis of identity that we're facing in our community, specifically among that of the youth. SubhanAllah, I work for CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. We do a lot of work, anti-bullying work, a lot of anti-Islamophobia work. And what we are seeing now is that a lot of people in our community are having difficulty identifying as Muslims. That number almost doubles to the students in schools because they suffer more bullying. And we are seeing this idea of what does that mean? Why are we seeing so many issues of people not wanting to be Muslim, not wanting to include that hyphen of Muslim and Islam in their identity? And we're seeing that there's an onslaught that we are seeing from the Islamophobia industry into the country. And usually before, a lot of people thought this was something in the shadows, of people here and there kind of just doing weird things. But now what we're seeing is, no, this is a dedicated industry. It's very clear. It's very organized. They have tax returns. We're seeing over 44 organizations across the country with a budget of over $14 million dedicated to maligning and spreading misinformation about Islam. So what are we seeing is that when we're seeing this pressure from the community, when we're seeing people speak about Islam in a way that does not properly represent Islam, for us to realize what effect and toll that takes on us as individuals and the members of our community. Foremost, one of the increasing problems that we're seeing is the control of our own narrative, the control of the story about Islam. When people talk about Islam, is it Muslims that are doing it or is it someone else? Or this is the one that's controlling the direction of the conversation that we're seeing in the media, on the TV, on the radio, and on the internet. So what does that mean for us? It's very, very interesting for us to understand this idea of controlling the narrative. Might be a little confusing with the terminology that I'm using, but for us to realize that this strategy is something very old. It was used even by the Islamophobes in the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And we take this from beautiful hadith that is narrated to us. And in this hadith, it starts on a very, very hot day in Makkah. And in this period, in this day, there's an old woman who's moving from one house to somewhere else. She has all of her luggage in the streets, and she has no one to help her. And she starts chastising and starts yelling at the people of Quraysh. And this was an interesting time. This was the middle of the day where most of the people of Quraysh would be in their houses taking a nap. So the streets were empty. And she's yelling and she's saying, where is the maru'a? Where are the manly people of Quraysh? Where are the ones who will help this old auntie here who needs some help? And eventually a young man came out and said, I'm here with what you need. She says, oh, I'm moving from here to here. I need someone to help me with my bag. And he says, okay, don't worry, I will help you. And he starts carrying her bags to this other place. And as they're walking, this old woman says, oh, my son, oh, young man, let me give you some advice as we are walking. So I want you to be careful that there is a man. There is a man here at Mecca amongst the Quraysh who is causing problems. He is causing mischief. He is causing issues between the people. And this woman was referring to our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was telling this young man to be careful because this man, he will come, and we've heard the rumors and the misinformation that the mushrikeen would spread about our beloved Prophet ﷺ, that he was a soothsayer, that he was a magician, that he would cause problems between families and break up brothers and all this and that. And this is what the narrative that she was repeating. And eventually the young man come quietly and said, oh yes, okay. And eventually they got to the destination, and he put her bag down and he said, thank you so much, Auntie, I'm leaving. And as he was walking away, the woman said, wait, my son. It took all of this time, and I'll thank you so much, I don't even know your name. So he turned to her and he said, you know that guy Muhammad, that guy you're talking about, that's me. I'm not Muhammad. And then he said, Assalamu alaikum, and he walked away. SubhanAllah, we know this hadith because after this point, this old woman, she accepted Islam. But for us to delve deeper in this hadith and for us to understand its actual meaning, for us to realize why is this so important? Because we see this woman who has such strong beliefs about the Prophet ﷺ, that she is so passionate she would tell a stranger about how bad he is. But even though she lives in the same city, she didn't even know what the beloved face of our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ looked like. Why is this? Because similar to what's happening today, this woman, to understand Islam, she went to the news release, to the press release, and the news bulletins of the Quraysh. Instead of coming to the Muslims to tell about Islam, she was listening to the narratives that were being put out by the enemies of Islam, the people who had issues to malign Islam. And just as this person accepted Islam, we pray that we, just as the Sahaba are landing together in the highest level of Firdaus al-A'la, we ask, please move forward and make space for those that are in the back, inshallah. So when we're moving deeper into this idea, we realize what? That there's a lot of information about Islam, and some of it may not be good, but some of it may be misinformative. So we have to work amongst our own communities to make sure that we ourselves have the base knowledge to be able to talk about Islam. We have to have the base knowledge to understand our deen and to be able to counter this misinformation that is taking place. And when we talk about this idea, we realize first and foremost, some issues about this identity exist in our community, amongst ourselves as an ummah. How many times have we been sitting there with our family and we're talking about a fellow student at work, a fellow student at school, or a co-worker at work, and we say something like, oh, my American friend. And what do we mean when we say my American friend? We're talking about, oh, he's a non-Muslim, we're trying to say. But we have to understand that when we're saying this, even in our own minds, we have a deep-seated idea that Islam and being American are two identities that are mutually exclusive. And that is not the case. We are American Muslims, and this is an identity that we can share proudly. These are both things that we have in our identity, and something we must remove. This issue that we have with is something we must remove from our psyches. Or that we see that this is the strength that will bring us together and work together to alleviate the issues that our nation is facing. Inshallah, in the sitting between two khutbahs, I ask that you make dua for yourself, you make dua for your community. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم إن الله غفور رحيم. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Please, we ask that you move forward and make space. I'm seeing a lot of gaps from out here, inshallah. People are waiting in the hallway, inshallah. So please, make some space. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make space for you in Jannah, inshallah. Allahumma ameen. So when we work to address this issue, we're seeing what can we do to bring ourselves closer to the identity, closer to this work of becoming Muslims, closer to this work of understanding our deen and being able to identify ourselves as Muslims. Even the verses that are recited in the beginning of this book, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not die except in the state of Islam. Do not die except in a state of complete submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's an identity that we are commanded to keep through our entire lives. So what does that mean for us? It means that with these extra pressures, we have to do our own duty to increase our education amongst ourselves and to increase the education even amongst our youth. To talk a little bit about what CARE is doing on this part, we have specific programs, inshallah, we're working with the community to bring on. One particular one is the Muslim Game Changers Network, one where we take a 14-week course with our youth. And we come every week on a Sunday or a Saturday and we explain to them, what does it mean to be American Muslim? How do we even navigate this idea? A lot of people think about American Islam, we think that there were no Muslims in America before the 60s. But for us to realize that the Muslims have been in America before this place was a state, this place was a country. And for us to understand this history and for us to integrate that into ourselves, and to have a greater izzah, a greater dignity of our history and our civilization as American Muslims. That is some of the things that we can do to work and to increase our own identity as Muslims. Another issue that we are facing, to take it to a larger and more realistic scale, is that with the new presidential administration, we're seeing direct policies being put in place that are targeting the Muslim community unfairly. Very sad, the last time that I spoke here, it was after our President Donald Trump passed the first Muslim, or he worked to instill the first Muslim ban. Alhamdulillah, we fought that ban in court and it was beaten, and he tried a second one, and we fought it again. With the fadl of Allah, it was beaten a second time, and he tried a third time. Alhamdulillah, with the fadl of Allah, it was beaten a third time. And we're seeing the fourth one, and inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase its strength, inshallah. So what we are seeing is now there's pressure even from a political aspect. And that gives us strength as a community that we must hold tightly together and see what our resources are. From a policy and legal point of view, alhamdulillah, is something that this organization like CARE can provide. But also we need help from the community. We need the community to be able to come together and stay unified. To be able to address these issues as they arise. And what we're seeing is, especially to support the masjid, what we're seeing the program the masjid is putting on to increase our Islamic knowledge, to increase our Islamic identity, that we should come to these events, that we should bring our youth to these events. There should be a culture amongst us that, hey, Friday night, the masjid has a family Friday night, that's where we're going to go. We're going to go hang out there as a family. We're going to have this idea built into us that we're Muslims and we hang out at the masjid. For when this unity takes place, there's barakah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We see in the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad that the Prophet was sitting in Masjid Nabawi. He was sitting in his masjid with the Sahaba, and he was telling them that when people gather together like this, for the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels find out about these kinds of gatherings. They come and they sit with us in these gatherings. And they tell the other angels, their friends from amongst the angels, come and sit, there's dhikr going on here. There's the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they sit until there is no space. And they start pile on top of one another until they form a column all the way into the heavens. And then they make dua for the people sitting in this gathering. And they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the forgiveness of the people sitting here. And subhanAllah, a beautiful point that we take away from this hadith is the unlimitedness of the blessings and the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the Sahaba had a little issue with this. They were kind of confused. They said, subhanAllah, everyone sitting here will get the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the Prophet responded, yes. And they said, what about even that person in the back? He didn't want to come, he just was kind of walking by, and his mom made him sit here, something like that. And he goes, even that person will not leave without getting something. So subhanAllah, to realize what barakah we find in these places, what barakah we find in these types of events. And sometimes we don't want to come because there's no space, the air conditioning is bad or whatever. But for us to realize that, for us to be here and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pay us many times over in the day of judgment and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the last day. So we see how we can formulate our own identity as Muslims. And this can only be done once we work to formulate our own knowledge of being Muslims. If we want to be good Muslims, we have to know what the basic rules, the basic ideas of Islam are. And we're not saying to go out and take a 12-year course and become a sheikh and come back. If you want to do that, that's great. But I know for myself, I don't have the time for something like that. So I would say, even as I would do, is work amongst our community, get even the basic understanding. If there's something you don't know, come and ask questions about it. If there's something that you would like to study, come to the masjid and tell them, this is, I want to learn tafsir, I want to learn seerah. And I'm sure they'd be more than happy to set up a class for such a thing. For this formulation, for this basic understanding, we formulate our own identity. We realize that we are Muslims, and from that, we take the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For once when you are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the Prophet ﷺ tells us, as he teaches us, that even if the entire world gathered together to give you harm that Allah had not written for you, they can't harm you. And if the entire world gathered together with all of their resources and all their tools to give you something good that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not written for you, they would not be able to. And for us to take from that is what? To seek our blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we shall see how that will enter into our own lives and bring blessings into our own lives. As we talk about this idea of identity and what that means for us in the last few minutes, to talk about the upcoming CARE event. CARE LA is having our annual banquet. It's going to be November 18th in Amman Hilton, mashallah. Many members from this community are diehard supporters of CARE, a very blessed community that we love very much at CARE. And you come every year. Just to give you a quick reminder, our theme this year is very poignant, and it's about living our faith and defending our freedom. We have flyers outside and we have tickets for sale. But inshallah, the theme of this is something very reflective, and it's very sad, but something that we have to talk about. That we have to be able to live our faith inside Islam, and we have inside America. And why do we have to live our faith? And why does it say defending our freedoms? Because we're seeing that our freedoms are being curtailed. Freedoms that are guaranteed to us by this law, and also the freedoms that are granted to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for us to work together and to address these issues as a community means that we strengthen ourselves and being able to continue the work that organizations like CARE and the Masjid, they do for our community. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put barakah in all of our work. Ya Allah, we ask you to show us truth as truth and help us follow it. Ya Allah, show us falsehood as falsehood and help us avoid it. Ya Allah, fill our lives with barakah. Ya Allah, give us the basic knowledge of Islam and more knowledge than that, and help us identify ourselves as Muslims. رَبَّنَا آتَيْنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ اللهم آمين.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الصلاة يرحمكم الله واعتدلوا أثابكم الله الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين فإذا جاءت الطامة الكبرى يوم يتذكر الإنسان ما سعى وبرزت الجحيم لمن يرى فأما من طغى وآثر الحياة الدنيا فإن الجحيم هي المأوى وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها فيما أنت من ذكراها إلى ربك منتهاها إنما أنت منذر من يخشاها كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is with tremendous sadness and heavy heart that I have to inform you, our dear beloved brother, Akhtar Ali, son of our dear brother Mir Akhtar Ali, and our sister Faizan Nisa Akhtar Ali, passed away. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. He was at Yale and was never far away from us throughout his life. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him back from us. We are saddened. Saturday tomorrow will be Salat al-Janaza for him in the Garden Grove Masjid. 1 o'clock is the Adhan, 1:15 is the Salat. Salat al-Janaza will be there. But right thereafter, we'll bring his body to be buried here at the Green Hills Memorial Park on Western Avenue in Rancho Palos Verdes. So we request to all our community members, near and far, to come and participate. Inshallah, we'll all be together and we'll bury him together.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him the highest.
I should tell you, a letter has just arrived from the Yale University, from the Department of Oncology, with a great detail and admiration for Akhtar Ali. And they are writing in this long letter how much he is going to be missed and what a wonderful person he was.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him the highest places of Jannah, inshallah. Thank you to today's Khatib, Brother Syed Hussaini. Care will be joining us tonight for family night. Next week's Khatib will be Brother Rayhan Khan. We have this Sunday, October 29th, Open Mosque Day. So if you have any non-Muslim friends who would like to know more about Islam, they're more than welcome to come this Sunday from 2:30 to 4:30 at this message, inshallah. Aid for Rohingya refugee donation drive through ICSB is on November 11th and 12th from 2 p.m. This is the ICSB project that COC put together. So you guys can help us out with that. Islamic Relief is hosting Hamad Staff on December 3rd at the Anaheim Hilton, raising funds for Palestine. If you're interested, you can contact Islamic Relief for that. Don't forget to register your kids and yourselves in the ICSB Quran Academy with Sheikh Enes. The weekend school is open if you'd like to register your children. If you have any questions, please visit the welcome booth outside. They can help you out. Please don't forget to donate to the general funds of this mission as well as to the new building and make dua for those who are sick and those who will pass away.
ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا حولنا شقيا ولا محروما يا رب العالمين اللهم شاف مرضى المسلمين اللهم ارحم اموات المسلمين اللهم نقهم من ذنوبهم وخطاياهم كما ينقى الثوب الابيض من الدنس اللهم ارحمهم فانت بهم راحم ولا تعذبهم فانت عليهم قادر يا رب العالمين يا ربي أظلنا تحت ظل عرشك يوم لا ظل إلا ظلك يا رب العالمين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Yes, yes. What? Yusuf, Yusuf.
This year, I've seen information here, and you guys actually we have room but now the check is not on. I get 4 3 times. So from them, so I'm gonna take them over there. Oh yeah, put my word. No, I'll get that done because I was doing it.
I follow you.
शुरू करो मैं आता हूँ इसको
जरा डब्बा में एक डब्बे में सबका एक में ज्यादा मैं खींच देता हूँ एक बॉक्स में डाल दो सब चीजें बंद कर क्या बंद करना कौन सा ओपन करके देखो ये चीज इसे ओपन करना One sadka, one sadka, or one donation. 50 something like that. Yeah, lock it back. That's a cup. Put all the cups inside. If there is other hand, leave it. And if the other zakat, put all the remaining zakat in one box. Like all donations, go to donations. So, brother. This is set up. Yeah. Only this one is. You have this one, right? Yeah. Should I put this here? Yeah. Is it locked or no? Unlocked. Yeah, it's unlocked. Good. Yeah, I don't know if it should be. No donation edited. Donation. Sadaka. Put sadaka. That's it. That's all donation. Only these. The big ones. Yeah, I have the donations. I need the big keys.
What, brother? Where are you? You didn't give the namaz. You are sick.
I don't know these keys are not much. Yeah. Anyone can throw it. Separate it. Yeah. Oh, some.
One 10 and 2 5.
1 to 5.
Or give me 4 5.
Yeah. Sorry. You need anything water? Sorry, brother. Tani Feroz. Feroz. Have to prepare for the Quran Academy.
Oh, that's cute.
So please. فلوس حطيهم في الورق اللي just like married month before, month ago. Oh, yes. Month ago.
No, it's 24. يوم السنة الأحلى يوم السنة الأحلى
There you go. Here.
Sorry, right, right.
Right side. Right side. कोई साइन नहीं है
And then, what about the court? And then,
all you have to do is just know that.
oh,
I sent it
did
to
you
her.
go to the NOAA
I
place?
sent it.
No, I know.
From where did you get it?
I went to the one in Norwood.
Same one.
Okay.
The same address.
Okay, cool. Just all of me.
أخذوا شهادة زواج من النفس. تجيب البلد كمان زي هنا. كرسي. नहीं उसका चाबी मशीन पर ठीक है और उसका
جميلة بتقول هاي. لا بتشربها؟
لا خذيها. انت ये तीनों चाबी एक चाबी नहीं करा तो ये बंद किया ये खाली है नहीं चेक किया उसका 3 नंबर 10 के साथ एक करना You made it.
I made it, inshallah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this is strawberry and then nuts. And,
Well, I was kidding.
no, I'm serious. When I get sick, I do the same thing. It's strawberry, and what you do with strawberry is blend it in.
Yeah.
And then nuts. I'm not sure if you like nuts, but I don't really like nuts, but it's like peanuts. But then I like just put in it. There's sugar. I actually got some sugar for you. But if you put some sugar in there, if eventually because this thing you don't care about sugar, so it's just an idiot.
I love you, brother.
Thank you. I'll see you later. Come. I gotta get my car washed. No. I'm not messing with money. No. Help you out? I'm gonna take off this.
Yesterday,
Okay, so.
started last night. I will have that too. Sorry.
Okay.
That's it.
So all we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in one. Sure.
No, you put all the $1, 5,
And yeah,
10. That's it. Don't get from that.
And that's all the money? Okay, so I'll do it in front of you, so.
Okay,
Okay, we'll do it inside, okay, so this guy down?
सर जी ये नंबर 10 है इसका ठीक है तो दूसरों के सब कुछ चेक कर लो सबके साथ so एक तो let's put on check on the function yeah 0
أنا أجيب درس جامعة أنا طالب ورؤية وهذه معانا Oh no, they put some other stuff. No, they're empty. I took the money. Yeah, I took the money. It's some other stuff inside. Yeah, it's heavy stuff. Last time we have to do it.
كيف شغلة الدار كلها معها جيب لي معاك بس مش سنجر معمول جراسيل زنجر لا اسمه زنجر معمول جراسيل
فيروز الحج ما اعطاك شو اسمه؟
تعال
شايف فيروز؟ شايف هذا الابيض شيلي في واحد ابيض عند الزلمه هناك، شيلي هذا الابيض صفيه وطولي الثاني احسن. نعم. لا حكاري خذيه حطيه فوق. Yeah, take it from him. Yes. Look over there. On.
أناس الحمزة كل ثلاث وخميس تيجي.
أسبوع 3 وخميس وأسبوع 4. صح كده قطع البيضة؟
I'll see you next weekend. So it's on top. I'll put right here. I'll see you there. Okay, middle. Every job. You'll get better. This still can't go over. I'm a good okay. I'll do what I've done. Okay.